Liam Carter sat in a cold hospital corridor, waiting for test results that could rip his daughter's world apart, when a stranger in designer clothes asked him to lie. Not a small lie, not a white lie. She wanted him to walk into a room full of lawyers and executives and claim he was her husband. She was beautiful, terrified, and clearly desperate. And somehow, in a moment that made no sense at all, he said yes. That single word would drag him into a world of billion-dollar decisions, corporate warfare, and a connection neither of them saw coming. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button and comment with your city so I can see how far this story has traveled. The fluorescent lights in Seattle Grace Medical Center's waiting area had a particular quality that Liam Carter had come to hate over the past 3 weeks. They buzzed faintly, just loud enough to notice if you sat still long enough, and they cast everything in a flat, colorless wash that made the world feel drained. He'd spent too many hours under lights like these lately. Too many nights driving home with his hands gripping the steering wheel too tight, trying to figure out how to explain things to a 6-year-old who still believed her dad could fix anything. He rubbed his face with both hands, the calluses on his palms catching on 3 days of stubble. His work shirt had grease stains near the collar that hadn't come out in the wash. He'd stopped caring about that sort of thing 2 doctor's appointments ago. The waiting room was half full. An older couple sat near the window, holding hands without speaking. A woman in scrubs scrolled through her phone with the exhausted posture of someone coming off a double shift. And across from Liam, in one of those expensive chairs that probably cost more than his truck, sat a woman who clearly didn't belong here. She was young, late 20s, maybe 30 at most. Her suit was the kind you saw in magazine spreads, navy blue with lines so sharp they could cut. Her hair was pulled back in a way that looked effortless but probably wasn't, and her posture was perfect despite the fact that her hands were clenched tight enough to make her knuckles white. She stared at the wall like she was trying to burn a hole through it. Liam noticed her because she looked exactly like someone who'd never been afraid of anything in her life, and right now she looked terrified. He looked away. It wasn't his business. Liam Carter? He stood too fast, his heart doing that stupid thing it had been doing lately where it kicked into overdrive over nothing. The nurse standing in the doorway had a clipboard and a neutral expression that gave nothing away. "Dr. Morrison will see you now." He followed her down the hallway, past exam rooms and supply closets, and all the familiar landmarks of a place he'd never wanted to become familiar with. Dr. Morrison's office was at the end of the hall, small, neat. There was a diagram of the human digestive system on the wall that Liam had spent too much time staring at during previous visits. Dr. Morrison was in his 50s, graying at the temples, with the kind of calm demeanor that probably worked well on patients who weren't already convinced they were dying. "Have a seat, Liam." Liam sat. "I got your test results back." There it was, the moment. Liam's throat went dry. Dr. Morrison opened a folder, scanned something, then looked up. The imaging came back clear. No masses, no lesions. "Your symptoms appear to be related to severe acid reflux and stress-induced gastritis, not cancer." The words landed wrong. Liam heard them, but they didn't process right. He'd been so sure. The weight loss, the pain, the exhaustion. He'd been so convinced that he was running out of time that hearing anything else felt like a trick. "You're saying I'm fine?" "I'm saying you're not dying," Dr. Morrison said, "but you're not fine. Your stress levels are through the roof, you're not sleeping, and you've lost 15 pounds in 2 months. That's not sustainable." Liam let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "I'm going to prescribe something for the reflux," Dr. Morrison continued. "But more importantly, you need to address the underlying stress. Are you still working 60-hour weeks?" "I have a kid to support." "You have a kid who needs you alive and functional," Dr. Morrison said, "not burned out at 32. Liam nodded, not trusting himself to speak. The relief was so overwhelming it almost felt like grief. Dr. Morrison handed him a prescription slip. "Take care of yourself. And if the symptoms come back, don't wait 3 weeks to call me." Liam stood, shook the doctor's hand, and walked out of the office in a daze. He made it halfway down the hallway before he had to stop and lean against the wall, pressing his forehead against the cool paint. He wasn't dying. Mia wasn't going to lose him. Everything he'd been terrified of for the past month was just stress and acid and his own brain lying to him. He wanted to laugh. He wanted to cry. He settled for standing there like an idiot until his breathing evened out. When he made it back to the waiting room, the woman in the expensive suit was gone. Her chair was empty. For some reason, that felt significant, though Liam couldn't say why. He was almost to the exit when he heard it. "Please." It was quiet, barely more than a whisper. Liam turned and saw her standing near the hallway entrance, half hidden by a column. Up close, she looked worse than she had from across the room. Her face was pale, her eyes red-rimmed, and there was a faint tremor in her hands that she was trying to hide. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know this is insane, but I need help." Liam glanced around. Nobody was paying attention. "Are you okay? Do you need me to get a nurse?" "No." She shook her head quickly. "I just got my diagnosis, early-stage cancer. Treatable," they said, "but it's still—" Her voice cracked. She stopped, composed herself with visible effort. "I have a meeting in 20 minutes, critical, and I can't walk in there alone." Liam frowned. "I don't understand." She looked at him like she was measuring something, deciding something. "I need you to pretend to be my husband." The words hung in the air between them. "What?" "Just for an hour," she said. "Maybe less. There's a conference room on the 3rd floor. I need to sign documents, finalize a merger. If I show up alone looking like this, they'll ask questions. They'll delay. And I can't afford delays." Liam stared at her. "You want me to lie to a room full of lawyers?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I'm desperate," she said. The honesty in it was startling. "And you're here, and you look like someone who wouldn't do this unless it mattered. So I'm asking, please." Liam should have said no. Should have walked away. He had 1,000 reasons to walk away. But there was something in her eyes that reminded him of the way he'd looked in the mirror 3 weeks ago when he'd first convinced himself he was dying. That particular flavor of fear that came from losing control of your own life. "What's your name?" he asked. "Elena Voss." "I'm Liam." "I know," she said. "I heard the nurse." "Right," he exhaled. "Okay, 1 hour." The relief that crossed her face was so stark it almost hurt to look at. "Thank you." The conference room was on the 3rd floor, overlooking the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A table that could seat 20. 6 people were already seated when Liam and Elena walked in, and every single one of them looked up with the kind of sharp attention that made Liam want to check if he had grease on his face. Elena's transformation was immediate and complete. The fear he'd seen downstairs was gone, replaced by something colder and far more controlled. She walked to the head of the table like she owned it. "Gentlemen," she said, "thank you for your patience. This is my husband, Liam." Liam nodded. Nobody nodded back. The man at the far end of the table was in his 60s, silver-haired, with the kind of presence that came from decades of getting his way. He looked at Liam the way someone might look at a stain on expensive upholstery. "Ms. Voss," he said, "we weren't aware you were married." "It's recent," Elena said smoothly, "and private. Now, shall we proceed?" The meeting was a blur. Terms Liam didn't understand. Numbers that made his head spin. He sat next to Elena and tried to look like he belonged there, which was probably the worst acting job in history. Mostly he just kept his mouth shut and his expression neutral. But he noticed things. He noticed the way the silver-haired man, whose name was apparently Richard Caldwell, kept steering the conversation back to Elena's stability, her long-term vision, her ability to lead. He noticed the woman to Caldwell's left, younger, sharper, who kept glancing at Elena like she was looking for cracks. And he noticed Elena, the way her jaw tightened every time Caldwell questioned her projections, the way her hand moved to the pen in front of her and gripped it just a little too hard. "The board has concerns," Caldwell said eventually, "about leadership continuity, about your ability to manage a company of this size long-term." "My ability has never been in question," Elena said. "Your circumstances have changed." "My circumstances are private." "Not when they affect shareholder value." The room went quiet. Liam didn't plan it, didn't think it through. He just reached over and put his hand on Elena's. Her fingers were cold. She looked at him, startled, and he gave her the smallest nod. Then he looked at Caldwell. "If you've got concerns about Elena's leadership," Liam said, "you should probably say them outright instead of dancing around them." Caldwell's expression didn't change. "And you are her husband. You already established that." "With all due respect, Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, this is a business matter." Seems personal to me, Liam said. You're questioning whether she can do her job because of something that has nothing to do with her work. That's not business. That's just rude. The woman next to Caldwell smiled faintly. Caldwell did not. Elena has built this company from the ground up, Liam continued. She's been doing it long before I showed up, and she'll keep doing it long after this meeting ends. So either vote on the merger or don't, but stop pretending this is about shareholder value. The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. Then Elena spoke. The merger stands, she said. The projections are sound. The integration plan is solid, and my personal life is none of your concern. Now vote. Caldwell stared at her for a long moment. Then he looked at the others around the table. All in favor? 5 hands went up, slowly, reluctantly, but they went up. Motion carries, Caldwell said. He stood. We'll reconvene next quarter. He left without another word. The others followed. When the door closed, Elena let out a breath that sounded like it had been trapped in her chest for hours. That was insane, she said. Yeah. You didn't have to say anything. I know. She looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time since they'd walked in. Why did you? Liam shrugged. He was being an asshole, like... Elena laughed. It was short, startled, and completely genuine. Thank you. You're welcome. They sat there for a moment, neither of them moving. Then Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and the softness in her expression vanished. I have another appointment, she said, with my oncologist. Follow-up testing. Okay. I should go alone. Probably. She stood, smoothed her jacket, started to walk toward the door, then stopped. Would you come with me anyway? Liam looked at her, at the woman who'd walked into a boardroom like she owned the world and was now asking a stranger to hold her hand through the scariest thing she'd ever faced. Yeah, he said. I'll come. The oncology wing was quieter than the main hospital. Softer lighting, calmer colors. It still felt like a place where bad news lived. Elena checked in at the front desk, and they were directed to a small waiting area with chairs that were just slightly too comfortable. Liam sat. Elena stood by the window, arms crossed, staring out at the city below. You don't have to stay, she said. I know. I'm serious. You've already done more than I had any right to ask. Elena. She turned. I'm staying, Liam said. She didn't argue, just nodded and went back to looking out the window. A few minutes later, a nurse called her name. Elena hesitated just for a second, then walked toward the door. Liam stood and followed. The nurse glanced at him. Family only, she said. He's my husband, Elena said. The nurse nodded and led them down the hall. The oncologist was a woman in her 40s, Dr. Patel, with kind eyes and a manner that suggested she'd had this conversation 100 times before. She reviewed Elena's scans, explained the treatment options, outlined the prognosis. Early stage, treatable. Good odds. But still cancer. Still terrifying. Liam sat next to Elena and listened to words he didn't fully understand, watching her absorb information that was going to reshape her entire life. When Dr. Patel finished, she looked at Elena. Do you have any questions? Elena shook her head. We'll schedule your first treatment for next week. In the meantime, try to rest. Let people help you. Elena nodded. They left the office in silence, walked back down the hallway in silence, made it all the way to the elevator before Elena spoke. I don't know how to do this. Liam looked at her. I've built a company, she said. I've negotiated deals worth billions. I've fired people, hired people, fought hostile takeovers. But I don't know how to be sick. I don't know how to be weak. You're not weak, Liam said. I feel weak. That's different. The elevator doors opened. They stepped inside. Elena leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. I don't have anyone, she said quietly. No family, no close friends. I built my whole life around work, and now work is the thing I'm trying to protect, and I don't even know why. Because it's yours, Liam said. Because you built it. That matters. She opened her eyes. You don't even know me. I know enough. Why are you doing this? Liam thought about Mia, about the fear he'd carried for weeks, about what it felt like to think you were running out of time. Because I get it, he said. Being scared, feeling like you're losing control. I've been there, still am, in some ways. So if I can help even a little, then yeah, I'm gonna do that. Elena looked at him for a long moment. What did your doctor say? She asked. Downstairs. When you came out of your appointment, you looked like someone had hit you. He told me I'm not dying. That's good news. Yeah, Liam exhaled. I've been convinced for weeks that I had cancer. Turned out to be stress and acid reflux, which is almost embarrassing. It's not embarrassing to be afraid. Feels like it sometimes. The elevator reached the ground floor. The doors opened. They stepped out into the lobby, and for a moment neither of them moved. I have a daughter, Liam said. Mia, she's 6. Her mom's not in the picture. It's just me, and I've been terrified that I was going to leave her alone. But you're not. No. But you don't just turn that fear off. It doesn't work like that. Elena nodded slowly. I'm supposed to start treatment next week, which means I need to tell my board, my investors, everyone who's spent the last 5 years betting on me. What are you going to tell them? I don't know yet. They walked toward the exit together, past the reception desk and the waiting area and the hallway where Liam had first heard Elena ask for help. Outside, the sky was overcast, Seattle gray, the kind of afternoon that felt like evening. I meant what I said earlier, Elena said. Thank you. You already thanked me. I mean it more now. Liam smiled. You're welcome. Elena pulled out her phone, typed something quickly, then handed it to him. That's my number. If you need anything, legal help, financial advice, whatever, I owe you. You don't owe me anything. I do. And I pay my debts. She paused. Also, if you're not busy Friday night, I'm supposed to attend a charity gala. Very boring, very expensive. I could use a buffer. Liam raised an eyebrow. You want me to pretend to be your husband again? I want you to come as my friend, Elena said. But if people assume the other thing, I'm not going to correct them. That's a terrible plan. Probably. I don't own a tux. I'll handle that. Liam should have said no, should have walked away while he still could. But there was something about Elena Voss, something stubborn and fierce and scared, that made him want to stick around. Okay, he said. Friday. Elena smiled. A real one this time. Friday. She turned and walked toward the parking garage, her posture straight, her steps confident. Liam watched her go, wondering what the hell he'd just gotten himself into. Then he pulled out his phone and called his neighbor, Mrs. Chen, to ask if she could watch Mia for a few more hours. Because apparently, his life had just gotten a lot more complicated. Liam's apartment was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen barely big enough to turn around in. The couch had a torn cushion he'd been meaning to fix for 6 months. The TV was from 2015, but it was clean, and it was home. And when he walked through the door at 6:30 that evening, Mia came running at him like he'd been gone for a week. Daddy? He scooped her up, ignoring the way his back protested. She wrapped her arms around his neck and squeezed. Hey, kiddo. You have a good day? Mrs. Chen made dumplings. Did you save me any? No, they were really good. Liam laughed and set her down. Mrs. Chen appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She was 73, sharp as a knife, and had been living next door since before Liam moved in. She ate 4, Mrs. Chen said. I tried to stop her. It's fine, thanks for watching her. How did it go? At the hospital? Good news, Liam said. Not cancer, just stress. Mrs. Chen's expression softened. I'm glad. Me too. After Mrs. Chen left, Liam made dinner. Spaghetti, because it was easy, and Mia actually ate it. They sat at the kitchen table, and Mia told him about her day in the way 6-year-olds do, jumping from topic to topic with no connective tissue. And then we had art, and I painted a dragon, and Miss Hoffman said it was very creative, and then Tyler said it looked like a blob, but I said it was supposed to look like that because it's a magic dragon, and magic dragons don't have to look normal. That makes sense, Liam said. Do you think dragons are real? I think if they were, someone would have taken a picture by now. Mia considered this. Maybe they're invisible. Maybe. After dinner, they watched half a movie before Mia fell asleep on the couch. Liam carried her to bed, tucked her in, and stood in the doorway for a minute, just watching her breathe. He wasn't dying. She wasn't going to lose him. The relief hit him all over again, and this time he let himself feel it. Back in the living room, he picked up his phone and looked at Elena's number. He should probably delete it. Go back to his normal life. Forget about conference rooms and charity galas and women in expensive suits who ask strangers for help. Instead, he saved the contact. Then he sat on the torn couch and wondered what the hell Friday was going to look like. Friday came faster than Liam expected. He spent Thursday night lying awake, staring at the ceiling and wondering if he could back out. He didn't back out. Instead, he called in a favor with Danny, his coworker at the garage, and left work 2 hours early to pick up the tuxedo Elena had sent over. The delivery guy had shown up at noon with a garment bag and a box. Inside the box was a pair of shoes that probably cost more than Liam's monthly rent. The tuxedo fit perfectly, which meant Elena had somehow figured out his measurements without asking. That should have been creepy. Instead, it was just unsettling in a way he couldn't quite name. Mrs. Chen agreed to watch Mia for the evening. She didn't ask questions, which Liam appreciated, though the way she looked at him suggested she had plenty. "You look nice," she said when he came by to drop Mia off at 5:30. "I feel like an idiot." "You'll be fine, just don't spill anything on yourself." Mia thought the whole thing was hilarious. She made him spin around twice and declared that he looked like a prince, which was both adorable and mortifying. "Where are you going?" she asked. "A work thing," Liam said, which wasn't technically a lie. "Is it boring?" "Probably." "Then why are you going?" "Because I said I would." Mia accepted this with the easy logic of a 6-year-old. Liam kissed the top of her head, promised he'd be back before bedtime, and left before he could talk himself out of it. The gala was at the Fairmont Olympic Hotel downtown. Liam had driven past the building 100 times, but never been inside. He parked his truck 3 blocks away because the valet situation looked like something out of a car commercial, and he wasn't about to hand over his keys to someone in a vest. The lobby was all marble and chandeliers and the kind of quiet wealth that didn't need to announce itself. Liam felt immediately out of place. He checked his phone. Elena had texted him the details earlier. Grand Ballroom, 7th floor. Just ask for the Alexander Foundation event. He took the elevator up and tried not to think too hard about what he was doing. The ballroom was massive. High ceilings, gold trim, tables draped in white linen. There were maybe 200 people already inside, all of them dressed like they'd stepped out of a magazine. Liam spotted Elena immediately. She was near the bar, talking to a man in his 50s who looked like he'd never had a problem he couldn't buy his way out of. She saw Liam, excused herself, and crossed the room. She looked different. The suit was gone, replaced by a dress that was dark green and elegant in a way that made Liam forget how to form sentences for a second. Her hair was down, falling just past her shoulders, and she'd done something with her makeup that made her eyes look sharper. "You came," she said. "I said I would." "I wasn't sure you'd follow through." "I'm not a flake," she smiled. "No, you're not." Up close, Liam could see the tension in her shoulders. She was holding herself together, but it was costing her. "How are you doing?" he asked. "Tired, nervous, pretending I'm neither." "You're good at that." "I've had practice." She glanced around the room. "This is going to be tedious. Lots of small talk, lots of people asking questions I don't want to answer, but it's important. Donors, board members, investors, I need to be here." "Okay, if it gets too awful, just say the word, and we'll leave." "You'd actually leave?" "Probably not," Elena admitted. "But it's nice to pretend." A waiter passed by with a tray of champagne. Elena took 2 glasses and handed one to Liam. He accepted it, though he wasn't much of a drinker. "To surviving the evening," she said. "I'll drink to that." They clinked glasses. The champagne was good. Liam had no idea what good champagne was supposed to taste like, but this seemed fancy. "So what's the plan?" he asked. "We circulate. I introduce you to a few people. You smile, nod, and don't volunteer any information unless directly asked." "What if they ask what I do?" "Tell them you're a mechanic." "Really?" "Why not? You think I'm ashamed of it?" "No, I just figured you'd want me to lie." Elena gave him a look that was hard to read. "I've done enough lying this week. Let's try honesty for a change." Before Liam could respond, a woman in her 60s approached with the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. She wore pearls and carried herself like someone used to being listened to. Elena, darling, she said, I was hoping you'd be here. Margaret, good to see you. Margaret's gaze shifted to Liam with the precision of a hawk spotting prey. And who is this? This is Liam Carter, Elena said. My husband. Margaret's smile didn't waver, but something sharp flickered behind it. Husband. How wonderful. I didn't realize you'd gotten married. It was private. How private? Very. Margaret looked Liam up and down. What do you do, Mr. Carter? I'm a mechanic, Liam said. How charming. It wasn't a compliment. Liam could tell by the way she said it, the faint curl of her lip that suggested she'd just been handed something distasteful. And how did you two meet? Margaret asked. Liam glanced at Elena. They hadn't discussed this part. At a coffee shop, Elena said smoothly. He spilled coffee on my jacket. I threatened to sue him. He bought me a replacement drink. We've been together ever since. Margaret laughed, though it sounded forced. How romantic. It worked for us, Elena said. Margaret stayed for another minute, making small talk that felt like an interrogation, before excusing herself to mingle. The moment she was out of earshot, Liam turned to Elena. That was terrifying. That was Margaret Hale. She sits on half the boards in this city and has made a career out of knowing everyone's business. She hated me. She hates everyone. Don't take it personally. Easy for you to say. Elena touched his arm briefly. You did fine. Better than fine, actually. Most people would have folded under that kind of scrutiny. I've dealt with worse. I believe that. They moved through the room together, stopping every few feet so Elena could greet someone or shake a hand or exchange pleasantries that all sounded the same. Liam stayed close, playing the role of supportive husband with varying degrees of success. Some people were polite. Others looked at him like he was a stain. A few seemed genuinely curious, asking questions about where he was from, how long he'd been in Seattle, whether he enjoyed his work. One man, a silver-haired executive type named David something, spent 5 minutes talking to Liam about cars. It was the first real conversation Liam had all night, and it felt like a lifeline. I've got a '68 Mustang I've been restoring, David said. Engine's been giving me hell. You ever work on classics? Not as much as I'd like, Liam said. But I've done a few. What's the problem? They talked shop for a while, and Liam almost forgot where he was. When David finally excused himself, Elena was watching Liam with an expression he couldn't quite read. What? He asked. You're good at this. At what? Talking to people. Being yourself. Most of the people here spend their whole lives pretending to be someone else. You don't. I don't know how to be anyone else. Exactly. Dinner was served at 7. Liam and Elena were seated at a table near the front with 6 other people, all of whom looked like they could buy and sell Liam 10 times over. The food was the kind of fancy that came in small portions and required 3 forks. Liam did his best to follow Elena's lead, but halfway through the second course he gave up and just focused on not embarrassing himself. The man to Liam's left, a venture capitalist named Robert, spent most of the meal talking about his vacation home in Aspen. The woman across from Elena asked pointed questions about the merger, which Elena deflected with the ease of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Then Robert turned to Liam. So Liam, what do you think of Elena's company? Liam blinked. I'm sorry? Voss Technologies, your wife's company. You must have opinions. I think she's good at what she does. That's not what I asked. Liam looked at Elena, who gave him the smallest nod. I think, Liam said carefully, that building something from the ground up takes guts, and I think most people underestimate how hard that is. So, yeah, I'm proud of her. Robert smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. That's very sweet, but I'm asking about the business, growth projections, market positioning, long-term sustainability. Do you follow that side of things? Not really. Ah, so you're just here for moral support. I'm here because she asked me to be. How devoted. The condescension was thick enough to cut. Liam felt his jaw tighten. Across the table, Elena's expression had gone very still. Robert, she said quietly, that's enough. I'm just curious, Robert said, about the dynamic. It's unusual, isn't it? A CEO and a mechanic, different worlds. Not that different, Liam said. Oh? You fix things that are broken, Liam said. I do the same, just different tools. Robert laughed. That's one way to look at it. What's another way? That some things can't be fixed, that sometimes you cut your losses and move on. The table went quiet. Elena set down her fork very deliberately. If you have something to say, Robert, say it. Robert leaned back in his chair, his smile never wavering. I'm just wondering how long this merger is going to last when the person leading it can't even manage her own health. Liam felt Elena go rigid beside him. That's out of line, Liam said. Is it? Shareholders have a right to know if their CEO is compromised. She's not compromised. Then what would you call it? Human, Liam said. I'd call it human. She's dealing with something difficult, and she's handling it. That's not a weakness. That's strength. Robert's smile faded slightly. You're very passionate. Yeah, I am. Let's hope that passion translates to good judgment. Elena stood abruptly. Excuse me. She walked away from the table, headed toward the hallway that led to the restrooms. Liam hesitated for half a second, then followed. He caught up to her near the elevators, where she was standing with her arms crossed, staring at the wall. Elena, I'm fine. You're not. She turned to face him. Her composure was cracking, just slightly, and Liam could see the anger and frustration beneath it. He's not wrong, she said. The board is going to question my ability to lead. The shareholders are going to panic, and people like Robert are going to use this to tear me down. Let them try. It's not that simple. I know it's not. But you didn't build your company by backing down, so don't start now. Elena exhaled slowly. You don't understand the stakes. Then explain them to me. She looked at him for a long moment, then shook her head. We should go back inside. Not yet. Liam, you asked me to come here because you didn't want to do this alone, he said. So don't shut me out now. Talk to me. Elena's expression wavered. I'm scared. I know. I've spent my entire adult life building Voss Technologies. It's not just a company. It's everything I am. And now there's a chance I could lose it. Not because I'm bad at my job, but because I'm sick. That's not fair. No, it's not. And I don't know how to fight that. I don't know how to prove I'm still capable when everyone's looking for reasons to doubt me. Liam reached out and took her hand. Her fingers were cold again, just like they'd been in the conference room. You prove it by showing up, he said, by doing the work, by not letting people like Robert decide who you are. That sounds good in theory. It's all I've got. Elena smiled faintly. You're a terrible motivational speaker. I'm a mechanic. I fix engines, not people. You're doing okay so far. They stood there for a moment, neither of them letting go. Then Elena straightened, smoothed her dress, and took a breath. Okay, she said. Let's go back. They returned to the table. Robert didn't say another word for the rest of the meal, though Liam caught him watching them more than once. When dinner ended, people began moving toward the bar or the dance floor, or clustering in groups to talk. Elena excused herself to speak with a donor, and Liam found himself standing alone near the windows, looking out at the Seattle skyline. You handled that well. Liam turned. The woman who'd been sitting across from Elena at dinner was standing beside him, holding a glass of wine. She was in her 40s, sharp-eyed, with the kind of confidence that came from knowing exactly who she was. Thanks, Liam said. I think. I'm Diane Shepard. I'm on the board at Voss Technologies. Liam Carter. I know, I heard. She took a sip of her wine. Robert's an ass, always has been. But he's not entirely wrong. About what? Elena's situation. It's going to be a problem. Not because she can't handle it, but because the optics are bad. Perception matters in this industry, fair or not. So what's she supposed to do? She's supposed to be strategic, which she is, bringing you here tonight, for example. That was smart. I'm not a prop. No, but you're a signal, stability, support. Those things matter. Liam frowned. You're saying she's using me. I'm saying she's playing the game, and she's good at it. The question is whether you're okay with that. I don't know yet. Diane smiled. Honest. I like that. Elena could use more honesty in her life. Most of the people around her tell her what she wants to hear. What do you tell her? The truth, even when it pisses her off. Does it piss her off a lot? Constantly. Diane finished her wine and set the glass on a passing tray. Stick around, Liam. I think you're good for her. She walked away before he could respond, leaving Liam to wonder what the hell that was supposed to mean. Elena found him 20 minutes later. She looked exhausted, the kind of tired that went bone deep. Can we leave? She asked. Yeah, absolutely. They made their way toward the exit, stopping twice so Elena could say goodbye to people who didn't seem to notice she was barely holding it together. By the time they reached the elevator, Liam could see her hands shaking. They rode down in silence. When they reached the lobby, Elena stopped near the door and turned to him. Thank you, she said, for tonight. For all of it. You don't have to keep thanking me. I do. Because you keep showing up. Liam didn't know what to say to that, so he didn't say anything. They walked outside together. The night air was cool, carrying the faint smell of rain. Where are you parked? Elena asked. 3 blocks that way. I'll walk with you. You don't have to. I want to. They walked in silence, past the hotel, and the expensive restaurants, and the people spilling out of bars. When they reached Liam's truck, he unlocked it, but didn't get in. Are you going to be okay? He asked. Elena hesitated. I don't know. I start treatment next week. After that, things are going to get harder before they get easier. Do you have someone to take you to the appointments? I'll manage. That's not what I asked. She looked at him, and for a moment the mask slipped entirely. No, I don't. Then I'll take you. Liam, I'm serious. You shouldn't do that alone. You barely know me. I know enough. Elena's eyes were bright, and Liam realized with a jolt that she was close to crying. She blinked it back, but not before he saw it. Why are you doing this, she asked. Because no one should have to fight this by themselves, Liam said. And because you asked me for help, and I said yes, I'm not going to back out now. Elena nodded slowly. Okay. 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 I'll text you the details. Good. She reached out and squeezed his hand briefly, then let go. Drive safe. You too. He watched her walk back toward the hotel, her silhouette disappearing into the glow of the streetlights. Then he got in his truck and sat there for a minute, trying to process everything that had just happened. His phone buzzed, a text from Mrs. Chen. Mia's asleep. No rush. Liam started the engine and headed home, the city lights streaking past his windows. He thought about Elena, about the way she'd looked when she said she was scared, about the people at the gala who'd looked at him like he didn't belong, about the way Diane had called him a signal. He didn't know what he'd gotten himself into, but he knew he wasn't backing out. When he got home, Mrs. Chen was on the couch, reading a book. She looked up when he walked in. How was it? She asked. Weird. That's specific. I don't know how else to describe it. Mrs. Chen closed her book and stood. Well, you're still in one piece. That's something. Yeah. She gave him a long look, the kind that suggested she saw more than he was saying. Be careful, Liam. I will. After she left, Liam checked on Mia. She was curled up in bed, clutching the stuffed rabbit she'd had since she was 2. He kissed her forehead, then went back to the living room and collapsed on the couch. His phone buzzed again. This time it was Elena. Thank you for tonight. I mean it. Liam typed back, anytime. He meant it too. The next few days passed in a blur. Work at the garage was steady. Danny gave him crap about leaving early on Friday, but it was good-natured. Mia had a playdate on Saturday and spent most of Sunday building a fort out of couch cushions. Life felt normal. Almost. On Monday, Elena texted him the details for her first treatment. Wednesday, 10 a.m., Seattle Cancer Care Alliance. She didn't ask if he was still willing to come. She just sent the information, like it was already decided. Liam rearranged his schedule at the garage. Danny covered for him without asking questions. Mrs. Chen agreed to take Mia to school and pick her up afterward. Everything lined up in a way that felt almost too easy. Wednesday morning came cold and gray. Liam picked Elena up at her apartment, a high-rise downtown with a doorman and views that probably cost more per month than Liam made in a year. She was waiting outside when he pulled up, dressed in jeans and a sweater. She looked younger like this, less polished, more human. She got in the truck without a word. Morning, Liam said. Morning. How are you feeling? Terrified. Yeah. They drove to the cancer center in silence. Liam parked, and they walked inside together. The building was new, all glass and clean lines, designed to feel less like a hospital and more like something else. It didn't work. It still felt like a place where people came to fight for their lives. Elena checked in at the front desk. They were directed to the infusion center on the 3rd floor. The waiting room was quiet, filled with people in various stages of treatment. Some looked fine, others didn't. Liam tried not to stare. When Elena's name was called, she stood. Liam stood with her. "You don't have to come back," she said. "I know." She didn't argue. They followed the nurse to a private room with a reclining chair and an IV pole. Elena sat down. The nurse explained the process, went over the side effects, and started the IV. It took longer than Liam expected. He sat in the chair next to Elena and tried to think of something useful to say. "You want me to distract you?" he asked. "How?" "I don't know. Tell you about my day? Make small talk? I'm not good at this." Elena smiled faintly. "Neither am I." "Then we're even." The treatment took 3 hours. They talked, on and off. Liam told her about Mia, about the time she decided to give all her stuffed animals a doctor's appointment and lined them up in the hallway with construction paper medical charts. Elena told him about the early days of her company, when it was just her and 2 programmers in a rented office space, living on instant ramen and bad coffee. "We almost went under 6 times in the first year," she said. "I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew I didn't want to work for anyone else." "What made you start it?" "Spite, mostly." Liam laughed. "Seriously?" "Seriously. I worked for a tech firm right out of college. Brilliant people, terrible culture. My boss was a nightmare. I pitched him an idea for a new platform, and he stole it. Took credit for the whole thing. So I quit, took the idea back, and built it myself." "Did it work?" "Better than I expected. That platform became the foundation for everything else." "Your boss must have been pissed." "He tried to sue me. Lost. I sent him a fruit basket afterward." "That's cold." "I know." Elena looked at the IV in her arm. "I've spent so much time fighting, building walls, proving myself, making sure no one could take what I'd built. And now I'm sitting here thinking maybe I should have spent more time doing something else." "Like what?" "I don't know. Living, maybe, making friends. Dating people I actually liked instead of people who looked good in photographs." "You can still do that." "Can I?" "Why not?" "Because I'm sick, because I'm tired, because I don't know how." Liam reached over and took her hand. "Then learn." She looked at him, her eyes searching his face. "You make it sound simple." "It's not, but it's possible." When the treatment ended, the nurse gave Elena a list of instructions and a prescription for anti-nausea medication. Elena stood slowly, testing her balance. "How do you feel?" Liam asked. "Like I got hit by a truck." "That bad?" "Worse." They made their way back to the truck. Elena leaned against the passenger door for a moment before getting in. "I need to go home," she said. "Yeah, I figured." Liam drove her back to her apartment. She didn't say much on the way, just stared out the window with the kind of blank expression that came from exhaustion. When they pulled up to her building, she didn't move. "Do you need help getting upstairs?" Liam asked. "No, I'll manage." "Elena, I'm fine." She wasn't fine. Liam could see it, but he also knew when to push and when to let someone have their space. "Text me later," he said. "Let me know you're okay." "I will." She got out of the truck, wavered slightly, then steadied herself. Liam watched her walk into the building before he drove away. By the time he got back to his neighborhood, it was almost time to pick up Mia from school. He swung by the apartment, changed out of the clothes that smelled faintly like antiseptic, and headed to the elementary school 3 blocks away. Mia came running out at 3:15, her backpack bouncing against her shoulders. "Daddy!" "Hey, kiddo, how was school?" "Good. We learned about fractions." "Yeah? You like fractions?" "Not really. They're confusing. They get easier." They walked home together, Mia chattering about her day. Liam listened, half his attention on her and half still back at the cancer center, thinking about Elena sitting in that chair with an IV in her arm. That night, after Mia went to bed, Liam's phone buzzed. It was Elena. "Made it home. Still upright. Thank you for today." Liam typed back. "How are you feeling?" "Elena, Like I got hit by a truck, but I'll live. Liam, that's the plan. Elena, same time next week? Liam, same time next week. He set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. A month ago, his biggest worry had been whether he could afford new tires for the truck. Now he was driving a billionaire CEO to chemotherapy and pretending to be her husband at charity galas. His life had become unrecognizable. But when he thought about backing out, about walking away and letting Elena face this alone, he couldn't do it. So he didn't. The second treatment was worse than the first. Elena texted him the night before to say she wasn't sure she could go through with it, and Liam had called her instead of texting back because some conversations didn't work in writing. "What do you mean you're not going?" he'd asked. "I mean, I feel like death warmed over, and the idea of sitting in that chair for 3 more hours makes me want to throw up." "You have to go." "I know I have to go. That doesn't make it easier. Nothing about this is easy, but you're going anyway." There'd been a long silence on the other end of the line. Then Elena had said, "You're annoyingly persistent." "I've been told that before." "By who?" "My daughter. She asked for a puppy 17 times last month. I said no 17 times. She says I'm stubborn." "She's not wrong." "Neither are you, but you're still going to treatment tomorrow." Elena had laughed, and it sounded tired but real. "Fine. 10 a.m. I'll be there." Wednesday came, and Liam picked her up at 9:30. She looked worse than she had the week before. Thinner, paler. The kind of exhausted that sleep couldn't fix. She got into the truck without a word, leaned her head against the window, and closed her eyes. Liam didn't push her to talk. He just drove. The infusion center was busy. They checked in and were directed to the same room as last time. The nurse who started the IV was different, younger, with a name tag that read Jessica. She was gentle and efficient, explaining each step even though Elena had already been through it. "How are you feeling today?" Jessica asked. "Like I'd rather be anywhere else," Elena said. "That's normal. The second round is usually harder. Your body's still adjusting." "When does it stop being hard?" Jessica paused, her hand on the IV line. "It doesn't really, but you get used to it, and it gets easier to manage." "That's not encouraging." "I know, but it's honest." After Jessica left, Elena closed her eyes and let out a long breath. Liam sat in the chair next to her, the same one he'd occupied last week, and tried to think of something useful to say. He came up empty. "Tell me about your daughter," Elena said without opening her eyes. "What about her?" "Anything. I need a distraction." Liam thought for a moment. "She's obsessed with dinosaurs right now. Last week she informed me that the T-Rex wasn't actually the biggest carnivore, and I was wrong for thinking it was." "What's the biggest?" "Spinosaurus. Apparently. She made me watch a documentary to prove it." Elena smiled faintly. "Sounds like she's smarter than you." "She definitely is." "What's her name?" "Mia." "That's pretty. Does she look like you?" "A little. Mostly she looks like her mom." Elena opened her eyes. "You don't talk about her much." "Mia's mom." "There's not much to talk about. She left when Mia was 6 months old. Haven't heard from her since." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. We're better off." "Still, that must have been hard." "It was, but you deal with it. You move forward. What else are you going to do?" Elena looked at him for a long moment. "You're a better person than I am." "I doubt that." "I'm serious. I don't forgive people. I hold grudges. If someone wrongs me, I make sure they regret it." "That sounds exhausting." "It is." The treatment dragged on. Liam told her more about Mia, about the time she'd tried to bake him a birthday cake and ended up setting off the smoke alarm, about the way she insisted on reading him bedtime stories instead of the other way around. Elena listened, and for a while she looked less like someone fighting for her life and more like someone just trying to get through the day. Halfway through, Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, frowned, and set it aside. "Problem?" Liam asked. "Richard Caldwell. He wants to schedule a meeting." "The guy from the merger vote?" "Yeah. He's been circling for weeks looking for an opening. Now he's found one." "What kind of opening?" "The kind where he tries to convince the board that I'm not fit to lead." Elena rubbed her temples. "He's been pushing for a vote of no confidence. Subtle at first, but it's getting louder." "Can he actually do that?" "If he gets enough board members on his side, yes. And with my diagnosis out there, he's got ammunition." "That's insane. You're still doing your job." "Doesn't matter. Perception is reality in this world. If enough people think I'm compromised, I am. Liam felt anger flare in his chest. So what are you going to do? Fight. What else? Elena looked at the IV in her arm. I've got a board meeting in 2 weeks. If Caldwell's going to make his move, it'll be then. What do you need? I need to show them I'm still capable, that I'm not falling apart, that this doesn't change who I am. You are still capable. You don't know that. Yeah, I do. You're sitting here getting poison pumped into your veins and you're already planning how to outmaneuver some corporate jackass. That's not weakness. That's the opposite. Elena's expression softened slightly. You have a lot of faith in me. Someone should. When the treatment ended, Liam drove Elena home. She was quiet the whole way, staring out the window at the city passing by. When they pulled up to her building, she didn't get out right away. Liam. Yeah? The board meeting. I need you there. He looked at her. Why? Because Caldwell's going to try to paint me as unstable, as someone who can't handle the pressure. If I show up alone, it plays into that narrative. But if I show up with you, it looks like you have support, like you're not falling apart. Exactly. Liam hesitated. Elena, I don't belong in a boardroom. You belonged at the gala. You belonged at the merger meeting. You'll belong there too. This is different. How? Because this matters. If you lose this vote, you lose everything. I don't want to be the reason that happens. Elena reached over and took his hand. Her grip was weak, but it was there. You won't be. You'll be the reason I win. Liam wanted to argue, wanted to tell her she was putting too much weight on someone who barely understood her world, but the look in her eyes stopped him. Okay, he said. I'll be there. Thank you. She got out of the truck and walked into the building, moving slower than she had last week. Liam sat there for a minute, gripping the steering wheel, wondering what the hell he'd just agreed to. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Elena's third treatment hit her harder than the first two combined. Liam picked her up, sat with her through the infusion, and drove her home while she dozed in the passenger seat. She texted him updates in the evenings, mostly short messages about how she was feeling or what Caldwell was planning. Liam responded when he could, usually after Mia went to bed, trying to offer reassurance he wasn't sure he believed. Work at the garage kept him busy. Danny noticed he was distracted and called him out on it one afternoon while they were working on a transmission. You've been weird lately, Danny said. I'm always weird. Weirder than usual. What's going on? Liam didn't know how to explain it. I've been helping someone with medical stuff. Like a friend? Something like that. Danny gave him a long look. Is this friend the reason you've been leaving early on Wednesdays? Yeah. You gonna tell me who it is? Probably not. Danny laughed. Fair enough. Just don't burn yourself out, man. You've got a kid to think about. I know. But the truth was, Liam wasn't sure he did know. The line between helping Elena and getting too involved was blurring, and he couldn't tell which side he was on anymore. Mia noticed too. She asked him one night at dinner why he kept looking at his phone. Just work stuff, Liam said. You don't usually check your phone at dinner. I know, sorry. She tilted her head, studying him with the kind of seriousness only a 6-year-old could pull off. Are you okay, Daddy? Yeah, kiddo, I'm okay. You promise? I promise. She accepted this and went back to her macaroni and cheese, but... Liam set his phone aside and tried to focus on being present. It was harder than it should have been. The night before the board meeting, Elena called him. It was late, almost 11, and Liam had just gotten Mia down for the night. I can't do this, Elena said. Yes, you can. I'm serious, Liam. I feel like I'm going to fall apart. I can barely keep food down. I haven't slept in 2 days, and tomorrow I have to walk into a room full of people who want to see me fail. Then prove them wrong. How? By showing up. By doing the thing you've been doing since the day you started that company. You fight. I'm tired of fighting. I know, but you're going to do it anyway. There was a long pause. Then Elena said, What if I lose? Then you lose. But at least you'll know you didn't back down. That's a terrible pep talk. I'm a mechanic, not a life coach. Elena laughed, and it sounded wet, like she'd been crying. You're the worst and the best at the same time. I'll take that as a compliment. You should. She took a shaky breath. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. 9 a.m. I'll pick you up. Liam? Yeah? Thank you for all of this. I know I keep saying it, but I mean it. I know you do. After she hung up, Liam sat on the couch and stared at the ceiling. He thought about Elena, about the way her voice had cracked when she said she was tired of fighting. He thought about Mia, asleep in the next room, and the life he'd built for her. He thought about the board meeting tomorrow and the very real possibility that everything could fall apart. Then he got up, made himself a cup of coffee he didn't need, and tried to figure out what the hell he was going to wear to a boardroom. The next morning came too fast. Liam dropped Mia off at school, went home to change into the only suit he owned, and drove to Elena's building. She was waiting outside when he pulled up, dressed in a charcoal suit that looked like armor. Her face was pale, but her expression was set. She got into the truck without a word. "How are you feeling?" Liam asked. "Like I'm about to walk into a firing squad." "That's dramatic." "It's accurate." They drove to the Voss Technologies headquarters in silence. The building was downtown, all glass and steel, 30 stories of corporate ambition. Liam had never been inside. The lobby was intimidating, filled with sleek furniture and people in expensive clothes who moved with purpose. Elena led him to the elevator. They rode up to the 20th floor where the boardroom was located. The hallway was quiet, lined with abstract art that probably cost more than Liam's truck. "You ready?" Elena asked as they approached the boardroom door. "No, but let's do it anyway." She smiled faintly. "That's the spirit." The boardroom was massive. A long table dominated the center, surrounded by leather chairs. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. 10 people were already seated, and every single one of them looked up when Elena walked in. Richard Caldwell was at the far end of the table. He looked exactly as Liam remembered: silver hair, sharp suit, the kind of face that suggested he'd never been told no in his life. "Elena," Caldwell said, "you're late." "I'm exactly on time," Elena said. "And you brought a guest." "My husband. You've met." Caldwell's gaze flicked to Liam, dismissive and cold. "Of course. Please, sit." Elena took a seat near the head of the table. Liam sat beside her, trying not to feel like an imposter. The meeting started with financials, projections, earnings reports, market analysis. Liam understood maybe half of it. Mostly he just watched Elena, the way she fielded questions with precision, the way she never let her composure slip. Then Caldwell made his move. "Before we adjourn," he said, "I'd like to raise a concern regarding leadership stability." The room went still. "Go ahead," Elena said. "It's come to my attention that you've been undergoing medical treatment. Treatment that, while admirable, raises questions about your ability to lead this company through a critical period." "I'm undergoing treatment for a manageable condition," Elena said. "It doesn't affect my ability to do my job." "Doesn't it? You've missed 2 meetings in the past month. Your availability has been inconsistent, and I've received feedback from several stakeholders expressing concern about continuity." "Stakeholders you've been speaking to privately," Elena said, planting doubts. Caldwell smiled. "I've been doing my due diligence, as should we all." Diane Shepard, the woman from the gala, spoke up. "What exactly are you proposing, Richard? A vote of no confidence? To ensure the board has full faith in our current leadership." The words landed like a bomb. Liam felt Elena go rigid beside him. "That's premature," Diane said. "Is it? We're entering the most critical phase of this merger. We need leadership that's steady, reliable, and fully present. I'm not sure Elena can provide that right now." "I'm sitting right here," Elena said, her voice sharp. "You want to question my leadership, do it to my face." Caldwell leaned back in his chair. "Very well. Can you honestly tell this board that your condition won't interfere with your duties?" "Yes." "Can you guarantee you'll be available for every critical decision over the next 6 months?" "Can you guarantee you won't get hit by a bus tomorrow?" Elena shot back. "Life doesn't come with guarantees, Richard. You know that. This isn't about philosophy. It's about responsibility. And I've been responsible for this company since the day I founded it. I've built it from nothing. I've navigated recessions, hostile takeovers, and market crashes. You think a medical diagnosis is going to stop me? I think it's already affecting you." Elena stood abruptly. "Then let's vote. Right now. If this board doesn't have confidence in me, let's settle it." The room erupted in murmurs. Diane was shaking her head. Another board member, a man in his 50s named Thomas, looked uncomfortable. Caldwell's expression remained neutral. Elena, Diane said, maybe we should table this. No, Elena said. If Richard wants to challenge me, let him. I'm not going to spend the next 6 months waiting for the other shoe to drop. Caldwell nodded slowly. Very well. All in favor of a vote of no confidence? 3 hands went up. Caldwell's. A woman named Patricia, who'd barely spoken all meeting, and a younger man Liam didn't recognize. All opposed? 6 hands went up, including Diane's. Caldwell's jaw tightened. The motion fails. Elena sat back down, her face unreadable. Liam wanted to say something, to offer some kind of reassurance, but the moment didn't feel like it belonged to him. Is there any other business? Elena asked, her voice steady. There wasn't. The meeting adjourned. People filed out, some of them avoiding Elena's gaze, others nodding in acknowledgement. Caldwell left without a word, his expression dark. When the room was empty except for Elena, Liam, and Diane, Elena finally let herself exhale. That was close, Diane said. Too close, Elena agreed. He's not going to let this go. I know. Diane looked at Liam. You didn't say a word in there. Wasn't my place, Liam said. Smart. Diane turned back to Elena. You need to be careful. Caldwell's lost this round, but he'll come back harder next time. Let him. Diane left, and it was just the 2 of them. Elena leaned forward, resting her elbows on the table, and covered her face with her hands. You did it, Liam said. Barely. Doesn't matter. You won. She lowered her hands and looked at him. I don't feel like I won. I feel like I'm one bad day away from losing everything. Then don't have a bad day. Elena laughed, and it sounded hollow. If only it were that simple. They left the building together, walking out into the midday sun. The city was loud, busy, indifferent to the battle that had just played out 20 floors above. Elena stopped on the sidewalk and turned to face him. I don't know how to thank you, she said. You don't have to. I do. You've done more for me in the past month than most people have done in my entire life. You're exaggerating. I'm not. Liam didn't know what to say to that, so he just shrugged and said, You're welcome. Elena reached out and hugged him. It was sudden, unexpected, and brief, but it was real. I have to get back to work, she said when she pulled away. But thank you for being here, for all of it. Anytime. She walked back into the building, and Liam stood there for a moment, watching her go. Then he got in his truck and drove back to the garage, where Danny was waiting with 3 cars that needed oil changes and a knowing look Liam chose to ignore. That night, after Mia went to bed, Liam's phone buzzed. It was Elena. I'm still standing. Barely, but I'm here. Liam typed back. That's all that matters. Elena. Is it? Liam. Yeah, it is. He set the phone down and thought about the look on Elena's face when she'd called the vote. The way she'd stood up and faced down Caldwell without flinching. The way she'd hugged him on the sidewalk like he was the only thing keeping her tethered to the ground. He thought about Mia, about the life he'd built for her, and how much of it relied on him staying in his lane. Then he thought about Elena, fighting a battle on 2 fronts, and how she'd asked him to stand beside her anyway. He didn't know where this was going, didn't know if it was sustainable or smart, or anything other than complicated. But he knew he wasn't walking away, not yet. The 4th treatment came on a Wednesday that felt like any other Wednesday, until it didn't. Liam picked Elena up at the usual time, and she looked worse than he'd ever seen her. Her skin had a grayish tint, and she moved like every step hurt. Maybe we should reschedule, Liam said as she climbed into the truck. Can't. The schedule matters. Miss one, and it throws everything off. Elena, I'm going. Don't argue with me. He didn't. He just drove. The infusion center was quieter than usual. They checked in, went through the routine, and settled into the same room they'd occupied 3 times before. Jessica started the IV, asked the usual questions, and left them alone. Elena closed her eyes and didn't open them for the first hour. Liam sat in the chair beside her and watched the IV drip. He'd gotten used to this. The antiseptic smell, the quiet hum of medical equipment, the way time seemed to move differently in this room. He'd started bringing a book on the second visit, but he never read it. Mostly, he just sat there and tried to be present in a way that felt useful. Halfway through the treatment, Elena's phone rang. She glanced at it, grimaced, and answered. "This is Elena." Liam couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but he could tell from Elena's expression that it wasn't good. "When?" she asked. A pause. "How bad?" Another pause. "I'll handle it. Give me an hour." She hung up and opened her eyes. "I need to leave." "You're in the middle of treatment." "I know, but there's a problem at the office. A big one. Caldwell's making another move." "Can't someone else handle it?" "Not this. Not if I want to stay in control." Liam looked at the IV in her arm. "You can't just leave." "Watch me." She reached for the call button. Jessica appeared a minute later, and Elena explained the situation in clipped, professional tones. Jessica looked doubtful, but agreed to pause the infusion. She disconnected the IV, bandaged Elena's arm, and gave her a list of instructions that Elena barely listened to. "You need to come back and finish," Jessica said. "This isn't optional." "I will. Just not right now." They left the cancer center and Elena directed Liam to drive straight to the Voss Technologies building. She spent the entire ride on her phone, her voice sharp and controlled despite the fact that she looked ready to collapse. "Who leaked it?" she asked whoever was on the other end. "I don't care if you don't know. Find out." When they pulled up to the building, Elena got out without waiting for Liam to say anything. He followed her inside, through the lobby, up the elevator, and into a conference room where 6 people were already waiting. They all looked up when Elena walked in, and the relief on their faces was immediate. "Talk," Elena said. A woman in her 30s with red hair and glasses started speaking. "Someone leaked the Q3 projections to the press. They're reporting that we're 20% under target." "Are we?" "No. The leak used preliminary numbers from 6 weeks ago. The actual projections are solid, but the damage is already done. Stock dropped 4% in the last hour." Elena sat down heavily. "Who had access to those numbers?" "Board members, senior leadership, accounting. So basically everyone." "Basically," Elena rubbed her temples. "Caldwell. We can't prove that." "I don't need proof. I know it was him." She looked up. "Get legal on this. I want to know if we have grounds to pursue action, and get PR to draft a statement. We're releasing the actual projections today, ahead of schedule." "That's risky," someone said. "So is letting Caldwell control the narrative." The meeting lasted 40 minutes. Liam stood near the door, trying to stay out of the way. He watched Elena work, the way she commanded the room despite looking like she could barely stand. When it was over, the others filed out, leaving just the 2 of them. Elena stayed seated, staring at the table. "You need to go back," Liam said. "I know. I'm serious. You can't skip treatment." "I'm not skipping it. I'm delaying it." "That's the same thing." "It's not." She looked at him, and her eyes were exhausted. "I can't let Caldwell win. If I show weakness now, even for a second, he'll use it to bury me. This isn't weakness. This is survival." In his world, those are the same thing. Liam crossed the room and sat down next to her. "You're going to kill yourself trying to prove a point." "Maybe, but at least I'll go down fighting." "That's not noble. That's just stupid." Elena laughed, and it sounded bitter. "You're not supposed to call your fake wife stupid." "I'm not calling you stupid. I'm calling your decision stupid. There's a difference." "Enlightening." "Elena." He waited until she looked at him. "You won the board vote. You survived Caldwell's first attack. You've proven you can handle this. But you can't handle it if you're dead. I'm not going to die from missing one treatment. You don't know that. Neither do you." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and sighed. "PR needs approval on the statement," she said. "Handle it from the truck. I'm taking you back to the cancer center." "Liam, I'm not arguing about this. You're going back, you're finishing the treatment, and then you can go back to fighting Caldwell. But not before." Elena stared at him. Then, to his surprise, she nodded. "Okay. Okay? Don't make me repeat myself." They went back to the truck. Elena worked on her phone the entire drive, approving statements and fielding calls. By the time they got back to the cancer center, she'd put out 3 fires and started 2 new initiatives. Jessica was less than thrilled to see them, but agreed to finish the infusion. "This can't become a pattern," Jessica said as she reconnected the IV. "It won't. Elena said. I mean it. Your body needs consistency. If you keep disrupting the schedule, the treatment won't work as well. I understand. Jessica left and Elena leaned back in the chair. She looked hollowed out, like she'd used up every ounce of energy she had. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For dragging me back here. I wouldn't have come on my own. I know. You're very irritating. I've been told that too. The rest of the treatment passed in silence. When it was over, Liam drove Elena home. She fell asleep in the passenger seat, her head against the window, and didn't wake up until they reached her building. You okay? Liam asked. No, but I'll manage. You need help getting upstairs? I need a lot of things. Help getting upstairs isn't one of them. She got out of the truck, slower than usual, and walked into the building without looking back. Liam sat there for a minute, watching the door close behind her, and wondered how much longer she could keep this up. The answer came faster than he expected. 3 days later, Elena called him at 2 a.m. Liam was asleep, his phone on the nightstand, and the sound jolted him awake. Hello? He answered, his voice rough. I'm at the emergency room. Liam sat up. What happened? I collapsed. At home. I couldn't get up. My neighbor called an ambulance. Which hospital? Harborview. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up, threw on clothes, and left a note for Mrs. Chen explaining where he'd gone. Then he drove across the city, breaking at least 3 traffic laws in the process. The emergency room was chaos. Bright lights, people in scrubs moving fast, the smell of disinfectant, and fear. Liam found Elena in a curtained-off area near the back. She was on a gurney, hooked up to monitors, an IV in her arm. She looked small and fragile in a way he'd never seen before. Hey, he said. Hey. What did the doctors say? Severe dehydration, electrolyte imbalance. Basically, my body's telling me I'm an idiot. Your body's not wrong. Elena smiled faintly. They want to keep me overnight. Make sure I'm stable. Good. It's not good. I have meetings tomorrow, a call with investors, a presentation. Elena, stop. She stopped. You're in the hospital, Liam said. The meetings can wait. They can't. They can. And they will. Because you're not going anywhere until the doctors say you're okay. Elena looked at him, and for a moment her composure cracked entirely. I'm scared. I know. I don't know how to do this. How to be sick and still be me. You're still you. You're just going through something hard. What if I can't do both? What if I have to choose between the company and getting better? Then you choose getting better. It's not that simple. It is. You just don't want it to be. A nurse came by to check Elena's vitals. After she left, Liam pulled the chair closer to the gurney and sat down. I'm staying, he said. You don't have to. I know. I'm staying anyway. Elena didn't argue. She closed her eyes, and after a while, her breathing evened out. Liam sat in the uncomfortable chair and watched her sleep, the monitors beeping steadily in the background. At some point, he dozed off. When he woke up, it was morning, and Elena was awake, watching him. You snore, she said. I do not. You do. It's not loud, but it's there. Liam rubbed his face. How are you feeling? Better? Still tired, but better. A doctor came by an hour later and cleared Elena for discharge with strict instructions to rest, hydrate, and follow up with her oncologist. Elena nodded and agreed to everything, and Liam suspected she had no intention of following through. He drove her home. When they pulled up to her building, she didn't get out right away. I'm going to take a few days off, she said. Liam looked at her, surprised. Really? Don't sound so shocked. I am shocked. You've never taken a day off in your life. I have. Just not recently. She paused. I'm tired, Liam. I'm so tired I can't think straight, and I can't fight Caldwell if I can't think. That's smart. Don't get used to it. She got out of the truck and walked into the building. Liam watched her go, feeling something shift in his chest. Relief, maybe. Or hope. Over the next few days, Elena actually rested. She texted Liam updates, mostly complaints about being bored, but she stayed home. She missed one board call and delegated 2 others. She slept. She ate. She let her body recover. On Friday, she called him. I'm going stir-crazy, she said. That's progress. I need to get out of this apartment. Do something normal. Like what? I don't know, something that doesn't involve boardrooms or hospitals or needles. Liam thought for a moment. You want to meet my daughter? There was a long pause. Are you serious? Yeah. Mia's been asking who I keep texting. I think she's convinced I have a secret girlfriend. Do you? No, I have a secret fake wife. Very different. Elena laughed. Okay. When? Tomorrow. We usually go to the park in the afternoon. You could meet us there. What if she doesn't like me? She's 6. She likes everyone. That's not reassuring. It's the best I've got. Saturday was sunny, one of those rare Seattle days where the sky was actually blue. Liam and Mia went to the park at 2, and Elena showed up 20 minutes later. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked nervous. Mia spotted her first. Is that her? She asked. Yeah, that's Elena. She's pretty. Don't tell her that. She'll get a big head. Mia giggled and ran toward Elena. Liam followed at a slower pace. Hi, Mia said when she reached Elena. I'm Mia. Hi, Mia. I'm Elena. My dad says you're his friend. I am. Are you his girlfriend? Elena glanced at Liam, amused. We're friends, that's all. Okay. Mia seemed satisfied with this. Do you want to play on the swings? I don't know. I haven't been on a swing in a long time. It's easy. I'll show you. Mia grabbed Elena's hand and dragged her toward the playground. Liam followed, watching as his daughter gave Elena a very serious tutorial on proper swing technique. Elena listened intently, nodding at all the right moments, and when she finally got on the swing, Mia pushed her with all the strength her small body could muster. Higher, Mia shouted. I think this is high enough, Elena said, laughing. No, it's not. You have to go higher. I'm good, thanks. Liam sat on a bench and watched them. It was surreal seeing Elena like this. Out of her element, out of her armor, just being a person. She was terrible at swinging, kept losing her rhythm, and Mia found this hilarious. After a while, they moved to the slide. Then the monkey bars. Then a game of tag that Elena lost spectacularly. By the time they'd been at the park for an hour, Elena was out of breath and smiling in a way Liam had never seen before. They sat on the grass, and Mia showed Elena the rocks she'd collected from around the playground. Elena listened with genuine interest, asking questions about each one. This one's my favorite, Mia said, holding up a smooth gray stone. It looks like a heart. It does, Elena agreed. You can have it if you want. Really? Yeah, friends share. Elena took the stone and held it carefully. Thank you, Mia. I'll keep it safe. Mia beamed and ran off to the swings again. Elena watched her go, then looked at Liam. She's amazing, Elena said. Yeah, she is. You're lucky. I know. They sat in silence for a moment, watching Mia play. Then Elena said, I didn't think I wanted kids. I always told myself I didn't have time, that it would interfere with work. But watching her, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. You're not too old to change your mind. I might be, depending on how treatment goes. One thing at a time. Right, one thing at a time. Mia came running back, breathless and grinning. Can Elena come to dinner? Liam looked at Elena. Can you? I don't want to impose. It's spaghetti, nothing fancy. Then yes, I'd like that. They went back to Liam's apartment. Mia chattered the entire way, telling Elena about school and her friends and the dragon she'd painted in art class. Elena listened like it was the most important conversation she'd ever had. Dinner was chaotic. Mia insisted on helping, which meant the kitchen turned into a disaster zone. Sauce ended up on the counter, the floor, and somehow on Mia's forehead. Elena laughed more in 2 hours than Liam had seen her laugh in the entire month he'd known her. After dinner, Mia fell asleep on the couch halfway through a movie. Liam carried her to bed, and when he came back, Elena was standing by the window, looking out at the street. Thank you for today, she said. You're welcome. I needed that. More than I realized. You're welcome to come back any time. Elena turned to face him. I don't know how to do this. Do what? This. Whatever this is. I've spent so long keeping people at a distance, and now you're here, and Mia's here, and I don't know how to let people in. You're doing fine. Am I? Yeah, you are. She smiled, but it was sad. I wish I believed that. Liam crossed the room and stood next to her. You're going to get through this. The treatment, the board fights, all of it. You're stronger than you think. I hope you're right. I am. Trust me. Elena looked at him for a long moment, then reached out and hugged him. It was different from the hug outside the hospital. Longer, tighter, like she was holding on to something she was afraid to lose. When she pulled away, her eyes were wet. I should go, she said. Yeah, probably. He walked her to the door. She paused on the threshold and looked back at him. Liam? Yeah? Thank you. For everything. Stop thanking me. I can't. You keep doing things worth thanking you for. She left, and Liam stood in the doorway, watching her walk down the hallway. When she disappeared around the corner, he closed the door and leaned against it. His phone buzzed a few minutes later. It was Elena. I still have Mia's rock. I'm going to put it on my desk. Liam smiled and typed back. She'll be happy to hear that. Elena, I'm happy too. Liam set the phone down and thought about the way Elena had looked at the park, swinging and laughing and being fully present. He thought about the way she'd listened to Mia's stories like they mattered more than any merger or board meeting. And he thought about the fact that somewhere along the way, this had stopped being about helping a stranger and started being about something else entirely. He didn't know what to call it yet, but it was there, real and undeniable, and he wasn't sure what to do about it. So he did what he always did. He cleaned up the kitchen, checked on Mia one more time, and went to bed. And when he closed his eyes, he saw Elena smiling on the swing, her hair flying behind her, looking more like herself than he'd ever seen. The fifth treatment fell on a Wednesday, 3 weeks after Elena had met Mia at the park. In those 3 weeks, something had shifted. Elena texted more, not always about treatment or board meetings, sometimes just to share something small. A photo of Mia's rock sitting on her desk. A complaint about the coffee at her office. A question about whether Liam thought dinosaurs could have been purple because Mia had insisted they were, and Elena wanted to fact-check. Liam found himself checking his phone more than he should, waiting for those messages. Danny had noticed and stopped asking questions, which somehow made it worse. When Liam picked Elena up that Wednesday morning, she looked better than she had in weeks. Not healthy, not by a long shot, but steadier. Like she'd found her footing again. Last one, she said as she got into the truck. What? This is the last infusion. After this, it's just monitoring and follow-up scans. Liam felt something loosen in his chest. That's good. Yeah, it is. She looked out the window. Assuming it worked. It worked? You don't know that. Neither do you, so we might as well believe it did. Elena smiled. Your optimism is exhausting. I've been told that before, too. The infusion center felt different this time. Maybe because it was the last visit, or maybe because Jessica greeted Elena like an old friend instead of just another patient. They settled into the familiar room, and Jessica started the IV with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. How are you feeling? Jessica asked. Tired, but better than I was. That's normal. The cumulative effect is real, but most people start to feel improvement once treatment ends. Jessica finished with the IV and stepped back. You've done well, Elena. A lot of people struggle more than you did. I collapsed in my apartment and ended up in the ER. I'm not sure that counts as doing well. You're still here. That counts. After Jessica left, Elena leaned back in the chair and closed her eyes. Liam sat in his usual spot, and for a while neither of them spoke. Then Elena said, I've been thinking about what happens next. Next? After today. After this is over. I don't know what we are now. Liam looked at her. What do you mean? I mean, we started this because I needed help. I needed someone to stand next to me so I didn't look like I was falling apart. And you did that. You've done more than that. But now treatment's ending, and I'm going to be okay, and I don't know if you're still going to want to be part of this. Elena, let me finish. She opened her eyes. I know this started as a lie, a performance, but somewhere along the way it stopped feeling like that, at least for me. And I don't know if that's just because I've been scared and you've been kind, or if it's something real. Liam didn't know what to say. He'd been asking himself the same question for weeks and hadn't found an answer. I care about you, Elena continued. I care about Mia, and I don't want to lose that. But I also don't want to trap you in something you only agreed to because you felt sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for you. Then what do you feel? Liam thought about the past month. The hospital waiting rooms and boardroom battles and late-night phone calls. The way Elena had looked on the swing, laughing with Mia. The way she'd hugged him in his apartment like he was the only solid thing in her world. I feel like I showed up to help, he said slowly. And somewhere along the way, I stopped thinking of it as helping and started thinking of it as just being there because I wanted to be. Why? Because you're worth being there for. Because you're strong and stubborn, and you don't let anyone tell you who you're supposed to be. And because when I'm with you, I feel like I'm doing something that matters. Elena's eyes went bright. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Then you've been talking to the wrong people. She laughed, and it sounded wet. Probably. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Elena said, I want to keep doing this, whatever this is. I want you in my life, you and Mia. Not because I need someone to stand next to me at board meetings, but because I like who I am when I'm with you. I like who you are too. Even when I'm stubborn? Especially then. Elena reached over and took his hand. Her grip was stronger than it had been weeks ago. So what do we do now? I don't know. Figure it out as we go. That's a terrible plan. It's all I've got. Then I guess we're doing it. The treatment took the usual 3 hours. They talked on and off about nothing in particular. Liam told her about a car that had come into the garage with an engine problem so bizarre it had taken him 2 days to diagnose. Elena told him about a junior developer at her company who'd accidentally deleted an entire database and then fixed it before anyone noticed. I gave her a raise, Elena said. For deleting a database? For fixing it under pressure. That's the skill that matters. When the infusion ended, Jessica disconnected the IV and gave Elena a folder full of aftercare instructions. You'll have a follow-up scan in 6 weeks, Jessica said. Until then, rest, eat well, and try not to stress too much. I run a tech company. Stress is part of the job description. Then delegate some of it. You're no good to anyone if you burn out. Elena nodded, but Liam suspected she had no intention of delegating anything. They left the cancer center together, walking out into a gray Seattle afternoon. The air was cool and damp, carrying the promise of rain. I need to go to the office, Elena said, just for a few hours. There's a strategy meeting I can't miss. Elena, I know I should rest, but Caldwell's been quiet for 2 weeks, which means he's planning something. I need to be there. Liam wanted to argue, but he could see the determination in her eyes. So instead he said, I'll drive you. You don't have to. I know, I'm doing it anyway. The Voss Technologies building looked the same as it had the last time Liam had been there, all glass and steel and expensive ambition. Elena led him inside, through the lobby, and up to the 20th floor. The conference room was already occupied when they arrived. Diane was there, along with 3 other executives Liam vaguely recognized from previous meetings. Elena, Diane said, standing, you didn't have to come in today. Yes, I did. What's the situation? Diane glanced at the others, then back at Elena. Caldwell's filed a formal complaint with the board. He's alleging mismanagement and requesting an independent audit. Elena's expression didn't change, but Liam saw her jaw tighten. On what grounds? The Q3 leak. He's claiming you failed to secure sensitive financial information and that it demonstrates a pattern of negligence. That leak came from him. We can't prove that. Then we prove something else. Elena sat down at the head of the table. Get legal on this. I want to know every move Caldwell's made in the past 6 months. Every conversation, every vote, every financial transaction. If he's coming after me, I'm going after him. Elena, Diane said carefully, that's scorched earth. I know, do it anyway. The meeting lasted an hour. Liam sat near the door watching Elena work. She was relentless, methodical, breaking down Caldwell's complaint piece by piece and building a counterattack that was surgical in its precision. By the time the meeting ended, the others looked both impressed and slightly terrified. When they were alone, Elena leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes. You okay? Liam asked. No, but I will be. You're going to destroy him, aren't you? If he doesn't back off, yes. That's cold. That's business. Liam crossed the room and sat next to her. You know you don't have to win every fight, right? Sometimes you can just walk away. I could, but I won't. Not from this. Why? Elena opened her eyes and looked at him. Because if I let Caldwell take this from me, then everything I've built means nothing, and I'm not ready to accept that. Even if it costs you everything? Even then, Liam didn't know what to say to that, so he just sat there, and after a moment, Elena reached over and took his hand. I'm sorry, she said. I know this isn't what you signed up for. I didn't sign up for anything. I just showed up. And you're still here. Yeah, I am. They sat in silence for a while. Then Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and sighed. Caldwell wants to meet. Tomorrow. Just the two of us. That's a trap. Probably, but I'm going anyway. Then I'm coming with you. Liam, I'm not asking. If he wants to play games, fine. But you're not walking into that alone. Elena looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay. The meeting with Caldwell was set for noon the next day at a restaurant downtown, the kind of place where everything was expensive and nothing was particularly good. Liam picked Elena up at 11:30, and they drove in silence. What's the plan? Liam asked. Let him talk. See what he wants. And if he wants you gone, then he's going to be disappointed. The restaurant was half empty. Caldwell was already seated at a corner table, looking exactly as Liam remembered. Silver hair, sharp suit, the expression of a man who'd never lost anything that mattered. Elena, Caldwell said, standing as they approached. And Mr. Carter. How unexpected. He's my husband, Elena said. Where I go, he goes. Caldwell's smile didn't reach his eyes. Of course. Please, sit. They sat. A waiter appeared, took drink orders, and disappeared. Caldwell leaned back in his chair and studied Elena. You look well, he said. Thank you. I hear treatment's finished. It is. That's good. I'm glad you're on the mend. Are you? Caldwell's smile widened. Of course. I've never wished you ill, Elena. I just want what's best for the company. By filing a complaint against me? By raising concerns that needed to be addressed? Surely you can see the difference. I see exactly what you're doing, Richard. You're trying to undermine me because you can't beat me any other way. That's a rather dramatic interpretation. It's the truth. The waiter returned with drinks. Caldwell took a sip of his scotch and set it down carefully. I'll be direct, he said. The board is losing confidence in your leadership, not because you're incompetent, but because the circumstances have changed. Your illness, while unfortunate, has created uncertainty, and uncertainty is bad for business. I'm still capable of doing my job. Are you? You collapsed 3 weeks ago. You've missed meetings. Your focus has been divided. Those aren't signs of strong leadership. Those are signs of being human, perhaps. But the board doesn't need a human. It needs a leader. And right now I'm not sure you can be both. Liam felt anger flare in his chest, but Elena put a hand on his arm, stopping him before he could speak. What do you want, Richard? She asked. I want you to step down, voluntarily. Take a leave of absence, focus on your recovery, and let someone else run the company for a while. Someone like you. I'm not angling for your position, Elena. I'm trying to protect the company. By removing me. By giving you space to heal. Elena leaned forward. Let me be clear. I'm not stepping down. I'm not taking a leave of absence, and I'm not letting you or anyone else dictate what I can and can't do. So if this is your play, it's a bad one. Caldwell's expression hardened. You're making a mistake. That's my mistake to make. The board will vote. Let them. I'll win. You're very confident for someone who barely survived the last vote. I survived it. That's what matters. Caldwell stood. I tried to do this the civil way. Don't say I didn't give you the option. He left without another word. Elena sat back in her chair and exhaled slowly. That went well, Liam said. He's going to push for another vote. Can he win? I don't know, maybe. Depends on how scared the board is. What are you going to do? Elena looked at him. What I always do, fight. The board meeting was scheduled for the following week. Elena spent the days leading up to it preparing, pulling together data, refining arguments, building alliances. Liam watched her work herself into the ground and tried to convince her to slow down. She didn't listen. The night before the meeting, she called him. "I can't sleep," she said. "That's because you've had too much coffee." "Probably, but also because I'm terrified. You're going to be fine." "You don't know that." "I do. You've faced worse than Caldwell." "Have I?" "Yeah, you've faced cancer, you've faced losing everything, and you're still here. So whatever happens tomorrow, you'll handle it." There was a long pause. Then Elena said, "Will you be there? At the meeting?" "Do you want me to be?" "Yes." "Then I'll be there." "Thank you, Liam, for everything. I know I keep saying that, but I don't know how else to say what I mean." "You don't have to say anything. Just show up tomorrow and do what you do best." "Which is?" "Win." The board meeting was at 10 a.m. Liam picked Elena up at 9, and they drove to the Voss Technologies building in silence. Elena's hands were steady, but Liam could see the tension in her shoulders. The boardroom was full when they arrived. All 12 board members, plus legal counsel, plus Caldwell, sitting at the far end of the table like he'd already won. Elena took her seat. Liam sat beside her. Caldwell stood. "Thank you all for coming," Caldwell said. "I've called this meeting to address ongoing concerns about leadership stability. Specifically, Ms. Voss's ability to effectively manage this company given her recent health challenges." "We've been through this," Diane said. "The board already voted, and circumstances have changed. Ms. Voss has continued to miss meetings, delegate critical decisions, and demonstrate inconsistent availability. This isn't about her competence. It's about whether she can fulfill the demands of this role." "I've missed 2 meetings in 3 months," Elena said, "both for medical reasons. And I've delegated nothing that wasn't appropriate to delegate. You collapsed and ended up in the emergency room. I had a bad reaction to treatment. It was resolved. It was a sign that you're not capable of handling the stress of this position." Elena stood. "You want to talk about stress, Richard?" "Let's talk about it. Yes, I've been sick. Yes, I've been through hell. But I've also navigated this company through the most critical merger in its history while fighting cancer. I've outmaneuvered competitors, secured funding, and maintained profitability. So if you think I can't handle stress, you're not paying attention. Passion isn't the same as capability. Neither is ambition. And we both know what this is really about." Caldwell's expression darkened. "Enlighten me. You want my position. You've wanted it for years. And you thought my illness would give you the opening you needed. But it didn't work. So now you're trying to force the issue. That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth. And everyone in this room knows it." The room went silent. Then Thomas, one of the older board members, spoke up. "Elena's right. We all know what this is. And frankly, I'm tired of it." "As am I," Diane added. "Elena's proven herself repeatedly. If we keep questioning her every time something goes wrong, we're not protecting the company. We're sabotaging it." Caldwell looked around the table. "So you're just going to ignore the risks?" "What risks?" Diane asked. "Elena's treatment is finished. Her prognosis is good. She's doing her job. The only risk I see is the instability you're creating by constantly challenging her." Caldwell's jaw tightened. "Fine. Let's vote. All in favor of a vote of no confidence?" 2 hands went up. Caldwell's and Patricia's. "All opposed?" 10 hands went up. Caldwell stared at the table for a long moment. Then he stood. "I'm resigning from the board," he said, effective immediately. No one tried to stop him. He walked out, and the door closed behind him with a quiet click. The room exhaled collectively. Elena sat down slowly, her face carefully neutral. "Well," Diane said, "that's that." The meeting adjourned. People filed out, some of them congratulating Elena, others just looking relieved. When the room was empty except for Elena and Liam, she finally let her composure crack. "I can't believe that just happened," she said. "I can. You didn't give him any other choice. I thought I was going to lose." "You didn't." Elena looked at him, and her eyes were bright. "I didn't." They left the building together. The sun was out, one of those rare, perfect Seattle days where everything felt possible. Elena stopped on the sidewalk and turned to face him. "I have a scan next week," she said, "to see if the treatment worked. Will you come with me?" "Of course." "Even if it's bad news?" "Especially if it's bad news." Elena nodded. Okay." The week passed slowly. Elena threw herself into work, reorganizing the board, implementing new policies, making up for lost time. Liam went back to his regular routine at the garage, picking up Mia from school, making dinner, pretending everything was normal. But on Wednesday morning, when he picked Elena up for the scan, nothing felt normal. They drove to the cancer center in silence. Elena was pale, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Liam wanted to say something reassuring, but everything he came up with sounded hollow. The scan took 45 minutes. Elena disappeared into the imaging room, and Liam sat in the waiting area, staring at the wall. When she came back out, she looked exhausted. "They'll have the results in a few hours," she said. "Dr. Patel wants to meet at 2 to go over them." "Okay." They went to a coffee shop down the street and sat at a corner table. Elena ordered tea she didn't drink. Liam ordered coffee he didn't want. They sat in silence, watching the city move around them. At 1:30, they went back to the cancer center. Dr. Patel was waiting in her office, the same kind, steady presence she'd been from the beginning. "Elena," she said. "Liam, please sit." They sat. Liam reached over and took Elena's hand. Her fingers were ice cold. Dr. Patel opened a folder and looked at the scans. Then she looked up and smiled. "The treatment worked," she said. "The tumor's gone. No signs of remaining cancer." Elena didn't react at first. Then she said, "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. We'll continue to monitor you, of course. Scans every 3 months for the first year, then every 6 months. But as of right now, you're cancer-free." Elena's grip on Liam's hand tightened. "I'm cancer-free." "Yes." Elena started to cry. Not quiet tears, not dignified tears, but the kind of crying that came from a place too deep for dignity. Liam put his arm around her, and she leaned into him, shaking. Dr. Patel handed her a box of tissues and gave them a moment. When Elena finally pulled herself together, she looked at the doctor. "What now?" Elena asked. "Now you live your life," Dr. Patel said. "You take care of yourself. You follow up with me regularly, and you don't take anything for granted." Elena nodded. "I won't." They left the office, walked through the cancer center, and stepped out into the afternoon sun. Elena stopped on the sidewalk and just stood there, her face tilted toward the sky. "I didn't think I'd make it," she said quietly. "But you did." "Because of you." "No, because of you. I just showed up. You did more than that." Elena looked at him. "You gave me a reason to keep fighting, you and Mia. You reminded me that there's more to life than work and winning and proving myself. And I don't think I would have made it through without that." Liam didn't know what to say, so he just pulled her into a hug, and they stood there on the sidewalk, holding on to each other. After a moment, Elena pulled back. "I want to see Mia. Can we pick her up from school?" "Yeah, she'd like that." They drove to the elementary school and waited outside until the bell rang. Mia came running out, her backpack bouncing, and when she saw Elena, her face lit up. "Elena?" "Hi, Mia. What are you doing here?" "I wanted to see you. Is that okay?" "Yeah, can we go to the park?" Elena looked at Liam. He nodded. They went to the park, the same one they'd been 2 weeks ago. Mia dragged Elena to the swings again, and this time Elena didn't hesitate. She got on the swing, and Mia pushed her with all the enthusiasm of a 6-year-old who believed in magic. Liam stood back and watched them. Elena, laughing and alive and free. Mia, running circles around the playground, shouting about dinosaurs and rocks and everything that mattered in her small, perfect world. And Liam thought about the past 2 months, about the fear and the fighting and the moments where everything felt impossible, about the way Elena had walked into his life as a stranger and become something else entirely. After a while, Mia got tired and came to sit with him on the bench. Elena joined them, slightly out of breath. "She's going to wear me out," Elena said. "She wears everyone out," Liam said. Mia climbed into his lap and leaned against his chest. "Can Elena come to dinner again?" "If she wants to." Mia looked at Elena. "Do you want to?" "Yes," Elena said. "I really do." They went back to the apartment. Liam made spaghetti again because it was easy and Mia liked it. Elena helped, and the kitchen once again turned into chaos. But it was the good kind of chaos. The kind that came from people being together and not worrying about anything else. After dinner, Mia insisted on showing Elena the fort she'd built in her room. Elena admired it with the seriousness it deserved, and when Mia asked if Elena wanted to sleep over in the fort, Liam had to explain that grown-ups didn't really fit in blanket forts. "You could try," Mia said. "Maybe next time," Elena said. When Mia finally went to bed, Liam and Elena sat on the couch. The apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet that felt comfortable instead of empty. "Thank you for today," Elena said. "You've already thanked me about 100 times." "I know, but I'm going to keep doing it." Liam smiled. "Okay." Elena turned to face him. "I meant what I said at the park. About you and Mia. You changed everything for me. You changed things for us too." "Yeah?" "Yeah. Mia talks about you all the time. She wants to know when you're coming back, what you're doing, whether you still have her rock." "I do. It's still on my desk. She'll be happy to hear that." Elena reached over and took his hand. "What are we doing, Liam?" "I don't know. Figuring it out as we go?" "That's still a terrible plan." "I know, but it's working so far." Elena smiled. "Yeah, it is." She leaned her head on his shoulder, and they sat like that for a long time. Liam thought about the future, about what came next. He didn't have answers. He didn't have a plan. But he had this moment, and Elena and Mia asleep in the next room. And somehow, that felt like enough. After a while, Elena sat up. "I should go. It's late." "You could stay. On the couch, if you want." Elena looked at him, surprised. "Really?" "Yeah, why not?" "Because it's your space. I don't want to intrude." "You're not intruding. You're just here." Elena hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, I'll stay." Liam got her a blanket and a pillow. Elena settled on the couch, and Liam went to his room. But before he closed the door, he looked back. "Elena?" "Yeah?" "I'm glad you're okay." "Me too." He closed the door and lay down in bed. Through the thin walls, he could hear the faint sound of Elena moving around, getting comfortable. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, Liam felt like everything was exactly where it was supposed to be. The next morning, Liam woke up early and made coffee. Elena was already awake, sitting on the couch with her phone, scrolling through emails. "You're up early," Liam said. "Old habits. I've been waking up at 5:30 for 10 years. "That sounds miserable." "It is. But it's productive." Liam handed her a cup of coffee. "Maybe take a day off from being productive." "I'll think about it." Mia wandered out of her room a few minutes later, rubbing her eyes. When she saw Elena, she grinned. "You stayed." "I did." "Can we have pancakes?" "I can make pancakes," Liam said. "Can Elena help?" Liam looked at Elena. She smiled. "I can help," Elena said. They made pancakes together, and it was messy and chaotic and perfect. Mia insisted on adding chocolate chips, and Elena didn't argue. They ate breakfast at the small kitchen table, Mia chattering about her plans for the day, Elena listening like it was the most important conversation in the world. After breakfast, Elena got ready to leave. Mia hugged her goodbye, making Elena promise to come back soon. Elena promised. At the door, Elena turned to Liam. "Thank you," she said, "for everything." "Stop thanking me." "I can't." "Then at least come back soon. Mia will ask about you every day until you do." "Just Mia?" Liam smiled. "Maybe not just Mia." Elena reached up and kissed him on the cheek. "I'll come back, I promise." She left, and Liam stood in the doorway, watching her walk down the hallway. When she disappeared around the corner, he closed the door and leaned against it. Mia appeared beside him. "I like Elena," she said. "I like her too." "Is she going to be my mom?" Liam looked down at his daughter. "I don't know, kiddo. Maybe. We'll see." "Okay." Mia seemed satisfied with this and ran off to play. Liam's phone buzzed. It was Elena. "Thank you for letting me stay. It felt like home." Liam typed back, "Come back anytime. The door's always open." Elena. "I will." Liam set the phone down and thought about what came next. He didn't have all the answers. He didn't know if this thing with Elena would last, or what it would look like if it did. He didn't know if they could make it work. Two people from completely different worlds trying to build something together. But he knew that sometimes the best things in life weren't planned. They were found in moments of desperation, in choices made without thinking. and the decision to show up for someone even when it didn't make sense. He thought about Elena sitting in that hospital waiting room, asking a stranger for help. He thought about the lie they'd told, and how it had become something real. He thought about the way she'd fought for her life and her company with the same fierce determination, and how she'd let him and Mia into a world she'd spent years keeping people out of. And he thought about Mia, the center of his universe, and how Elena had fit into their lives like she'd always belonged there. Life didn't come with guarantees. It came with choices. And sometimes, the scariest choices were the ones worth making. Liam looked around his small apartment, at the torn couch and the crayon drawings on the fridge, and the fort still standing in Mia's room. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. And maybe, soon, it would be Elena's too. He smiled, finished his coffee, and went to join Mia in the living room. She'd pulled out her dinosaur books and wanted him to read to her. So he did, because showing up mattered. Being present mattered. And whether it was for a 6-year-old who believed in purple dinosaurs or a billionaire CEO fighting for her life, the principle was the same. You showed up, you stayed, you fought for what mattered. Everything else was just details.